All right, this is the third or fourth episode. I haven't decided if I'm airing the first one yet. Of the First Contacts podcast. My guest is my last original contact. Actually, that's not true, because I may be adding one other person. But my last original list of contacts of interesting people is Chris Gibson, who also happens to be one of the only, if maybe the only person that is like a spouse of my wife that I actually clicked with right away. Because I don't know how it is with you, but a lot of times when Toluca's like, oh, I met this new friend and let's hang out, and she's got a boyfriend or a husband or whatever, and you meet that guy and he's just like a fucking plank of wood.
Yeah. It seems to me like when that is said, it's like, oh, is this guy going to be a douche? Or is this guy going to be a cool guy?
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, right? But you happen to fit that mold. And then I also wanted you in here because of a number of interesting things. It's interesting to me that our lives have kind of paralleled in that both of us, like I think within a year, right, married our girlfriends who went to school together.
Yep.
I have a daughter. You're about to have a daughter.
Yeah,
so
a couple months. Yeah.
And we're both kind of in entrepreneurial fields. So there's a lot that lines up there. But what doesn't line up is you have this history of military service, and essentially I didn't see the movie, but the way it's been described to me is you basically did in the Marine Corps what that movie The Hurt Locker was about, right? It's like explosive disposal.
Yeah, it's based upon it.
Hollywood, right?
Yeah, Hollywood and everything does their tricks, but it's loosely based on it. But that's also based on the Army EOD as well. So I mean, yeah, it's the Hollywood story of what a explosive ordnance disposal technician goes through during combat.
Yeah.
Pretty good flick, I guess.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you like action, it is there for you.
So, when you watch a movie that's about military stuff, especially if there's something about the Marine Corps, does it throw you off? Because you're like, well, that's not what life is like in that field.
Throw me off? No, because I've seen enough of the movies, what is portrayed, and lived the years of a Marine. So it's I don't know, it's comical at times, and there's certain things that they can't do to imitate or look or do exactly what we do for obvious reasons.
Mm-hmm.
There's the B-rated movies or the C-rated, D-rated movies that are just way out in right field, and you're like, that never happens. And there's a Hollywood that gives the sexy twist on it, and you know what? That's awesome because they all look a lot better.
You're like, I wish my life was like that. Now that kind of ruins. I can't watch movies anymore because of that. Largely because anything related to healthcare, since I was an RN, I'm just. That's bullshit, and that doesn't even look like that. And then I watched so much MMA that when I see somebody get into a fist fight in the movies, I'm like, okay, well that doesn't work either, and it's kind of ruined it for me. Now when I watch anything, I'm like, well, that's probably bullshit. It's like a lawyer movie. That's probably bullshit.
Yeah, no one can speak like that. Nothing comes out of people's mouths that formulated. Red flags are always up, especially when the TV's on.
Yeah. Well, but even now, with real-time news, is kind of drifted into that. Well, that's probably bullshit.
Yeah, where do you go to the source to get is this bullshit or is this real news? Because it's always news, or is it just is there any substance
or clickbait?
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I've started to wean myself. It's not like I had an addiction to the social media, just having the accounts and keeping up with people, and it's come to the point where it's like I have no interest in being on it because the people that I do want to know what's going on. I'm staying in close enough contact, or my wife.
Yeah, right. It's like your press secretary. Yeah, that's what I call it. Yeah,
I like the press secretary.
And my wife is definitely my travel agent and my press secretary.
Yeah, I like that.
My coworkers will be like, "Oh, I saw what you did this weekend," and I'm like, "What? Oh yeah, you're friends with Toluca, yeah." It's bizarre, but I mean, what about from a news perspective? Do you where obviously we're still like in some form of conflict overseas. So do you, like, knowing, having been there and having a background in that, do you follow the news and go like, well, that's probably bullshit? Do you just stay out of it? Because like for me, I've kind of cut ties with all of it and focus on like my small sphere of like my wife, my kids, my friends. These are the people I can directly influence. So beyond that, like I just don't even really pay that much attention to it.
Right.
That's not necessarily a good thing.
No. So yeah, there's like a happy medium of having both. That's where I was like kind of going with the, kind of putting myself away from the social media things. I was like, I used to sit and watch Fox News, and then I'd go watch a little bit of CNN and kind of like get the both perspectives of it, and then kind of come up with my own. This is probably what happened in that situation. I don't feel like there's been many reporters or news type, I don't know, tracking of what actually goes over, what actually is happening, and like what the purpose is, and like not even the purpose, but what the guys are going through, at the time. It's easy to watch it on TV when it's been documented on a documentary, cameras and talking to people and this and that. But like you're still not getting the real smack in the mouth of what it's like. And I'm kind of going on a tangent.
No, go for it.
But
this is free form.
It's just I don't know. It's not portrayed in the of what actually happens, and then you get the news line
where they put a lot of spin on things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you take a few words and you can spin it in however you want to nowadays, and like everyone's offended by everything. Like fuck that. Like grow a set of anything you want, and like because you can do that nowadays.
Do you think that a lot of people? Do you think that a lot of people are offended by everything, or do you think that it's a small group? Because, like, I don't know, the few people that I'm exposed to, when you hear the crazy stories about like what's going on college campuses, for instance, where it's like microaggressions and social justice warriors and all of this stuff, and it gets headlines and everything because of how extreme it is, but I can't imagine that it's really permeating as deeply into the psyche of like all of America, and that many people are taking it seriously. I think it makes a good headline, like in the same way that like whatever Kanye West did last week gets good headlines.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
What do you do?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm assuming Kanye, if you're listening, I'm assuming he did something fucked up in the last week or two. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, I think it's the same thing. I think that's like just an extreme. I don't think we're all supposed to be buying into all of that. At least I hope not.
No, I hope not. I hope you're right with that. I feel like it's being broadcasted in the manner of which it's a majority of that demographic of people, colleges and whatnot, like are all doing this. That's the way, like I can see it on the news, but I've never been to a big college campus and gone to schools there, in that aspect. I don't know the culture of what a college is like. I know what a college is like from what I see on TV or hear from friends or now my wife, of how the life was, but that's also coming from a California, Los Angeles based school. So I definitely hope it's not an epidemic of.
I did a year of college at the University of Tennessee before I moved to California, and that was definitely, there were no protests of any kind going on. Of course, this was like 2003, so there wasn't necessarily that much to protest about at the time.
War just.
Well, yeah, the war, but
Tennessee, they're more about supporting the troops than protesting them.
Yeah. And so that's gonna be, like, you're not from California originally, right?
No, Florida.
Yeah, so that's like the California of the East, but sweaty and with crazy news.
Yeah, and Walmarts, like on every corner.
So why did you come to California after?
Well, the Marine Corps, It was partly my choice of, picking a I wanted to come West Coast, get out of the East Coast, kind of like life, and see something different. And yeah, I picked West Coast Victor unit. Came out here went to boot camp end of 2004, Paris Island, and then moved out here. I say here, 29 Palms, summer of '05. After doing Marine Corps boot camp, the training, and school and whatnot. Yeah, so at that point I was an NBC technician, which is a stupid long, like nuclear, biological, chemical defense specialist.
That's an awesome title.
Yeah,
you should put that on your business card, dude.
For what?
Just for life.
I'd have to have an extra long one. But yeah, that was an interesting, job to have at the beginning of my Marine Corps career, if you will. Basically, it was like gas masks, mop suits, gas chamber, and then when we got to Iraq, it was hopping the 7-ton like you're a gunner on the truck, and yeah, like then my life started. I feel in the Marine Corps from there.
But when you got out, you stayed in California.
Yeah.
That was like 12 years ago that you started.
Yeah, this is very true.
Where
are you going with that?
Right.
Like, why did I stay? Or?
Yeah, like why did you stay in California after the fact? Like, when did you get out?
August 30th, 2013.
Okay.
So almost 4 years.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It seems like forever ago, but it seems like, last week.
Yeah.
4 years, man. Yeah, I mean, everything I've known as a young adult is based in Southern California and overseas. Like all my family, family being Marine Corps like buddies at the time were still here. I knew where like first company was. Go there if having any issues. Once getting out of the Marine Corps, easier to stay here than go back home or
Yeah.
And I'm not the one to, hey mom, can I come live with you?
Yeah, yeah.
Type thing. It's make it or break it type thing.
Well, it's got to be kind of interesting though to be in, because most people tend to think of the military as like a pretty conservative, right? But you're in Southern California, which is extremely liberal. So that's got to be like an interesting balance. Like speaking about trying to stay like politically neutral, right? It's like you had the super conservative background, and then you're in like the most liberal state in the country.
Yeah.
So that's like the equivalent of being somebody in the middle of America in a completely neutral swing state, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to think of like. Yeah, I mean you're absolutely correct. I mean California is towards the left on just about all aspects, very liberal in nature. Being from northern Florida, kind of backwoods type thing, like more conservative type thinking and living. Like joining the Marine Corps, you're getting aspects of life from all over the place, even other countries. So like it's such a huge pool of diversity that everyone is just like we're all family. We're all wearing the same uniform. We're all a part of the same mission, if you will, the same objective. So it doesn't. I mean, liberal, conservative, black, white, whatever. We're all part of the same team mold to get the same thing accomplished.
Yeah.
Like being
right, but those people also chose to be in the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we're all still,
there's got to be that common ground of like, well, we all chose to do this thing.
Yeah, I mean, we're all part of the same race. The human race of trying to get something done.
Uh-huh.
All on the same hamster wheel.
You know what I always wondered is like, how do people pick? Like, if you decide, like, little Chris says, I'm gonna join the military.
Yeah.
Like, how do you pick if you didn't have like family pushing you towards one branch or another branch because they were in it, how do you pick which one you go into?
I feel like it's like who you are. Like you're naturally going to be gravitated towards your type of people, whether it's the guy standing there looking amazing in blues, or the like Marine in blues, or the Army guy that's looking not so sexy in blues, and just like the mindset of like Marines as well, because like you walk into a recruiting office, I mean they're gonna tell you whatever you really want to hear to get signed on the dotted line. Mm-hmm. Like Marine Corps, like I didn't find that as much. It was like, I mean, there's very strict guidelines and standards that you have to meet before you can even become like in the DEP program, like sign up saying you are going to boot camp and that you are signing up for.
What are the screening requirements? So like a physical fitness thing, or
physical fitness, exam from head to toe. It's been quite a few years, and like the
other
standards
branches
have changed.
Do that.
They do, but like the Marine Corps is a lot more stringent on the physical aspect of it.
Did you know that going in?
Well, yeah, I knew because I come from like a family of military, like Air Force, a couple Marines, Army, and then a bunch of police and firefighters. So like that's always been a man in uniform has always been like in the family, a man of service. So that's what I saw. Like I went to Paris Island with my uncle, which was he's a Marine. I was probably 12 or so, 13 maybe, right around there. And not really have any foresight of joining the military. My mom always wanted me to go into the Navy, is what she found, like told me later, but always made me like ROTC or NJROTC. So I was always like in that through high school, and then going to Paris Island, seeing how the Marine Corps is, and it's like the tradition and the honor, and knowing that like the proud of the Marines, like there's very few people that hold that title. Southern California, you see that a lot because we are where we are, but you go anywhere else, and it's very few and far between, which is good and bad.
That's so funny. My parents were. I think everybody goes through a phase, especially towards the end of high school, when you're examining your options of like, what am I going to do now? Do I want to go to college? Do I want to join the military? So I think everybody at that moment seriously considers, or at least I did, seriously considers like, should I go into the military service or not? And I remember I was seriously considering it. Like I had brochures and I was like looking at all of them, trying to figure out if this was a route I wanted to do. My dad sat me down one day and was like, "You're seriously considering the military?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "The military, everybody's going to tell you what to do." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "You hate being told what to do by everybody." And I was like, "Oh my God, he's kind of right." Like I was so weird the way he phrased that. I was, you get the movie fantasy and like, I'm going to go and I'm going to get this experience. And then that one sentence like totally brought the reality home to me. I was like, oh yeah, I don't think I'm actually a good fit for this. But it's funny because you got the opposite. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know. From my experience, I've never seen somebody's like mom want them to be in the service, mostly because of the personal risk of like, oh my kid could get hurt.
That was like a sticking point. Well, not really a sticking point, just something that was a talking piece between my mom and I. And I also went in at 17, so she had to sign, on the dotted line for me, giving up the whatever rights as a parent, saying I could, and so did my dad. And the conversation, leading to that of like the recruiter coming to the house and whatnot, it was, well, I always wanted you to go in the Navy, like not the Marine Corps. Like the Marine Corps is dangerous. I'm like, you never specified. It's like I've since I went to Paris Island with my uncle, it was just like that's what I want to be that.
So you wanted to do that since you were like 13, 12 or 13?
Yeah, like it was put in my mind then, and then not really having any like plans to join at that point. Just like always seeing Paris Island, just like seeing the DIs, the drill instructors running around in their bitchin' green hats, their covers, if you will. They'll probably get killed now. I've been out of the Marine Corps so long.
You can call it a hat.
Yeah, you can call it whatever the hell I want. Out of the Marine Corps. No, just like it's truly like an honor. It's.
But you at least must have had an idea of like, okay, I will probably.
So that's where I was going with that, and it was like I wanted to be in the Marine Corps and saw that, and it was such an honor what they do, but I was starting my firefighter standards while I was still in high school, so I was going to firefighter school
really
in the evenings, and I was a.
Okay, that was interesting. David was telling me I should turn the do not disturb on, and it would prevent it from getting cut off. But my wife just called and cut off this podcast. We have something go on every time. Of like, oh yeah, this is amateur hour here, folks.
Hey, we're just starting off. You might
I like it. I actually like it better.
I think to get it so it doesn't cut you off is as you're recording, you click it so it goes to the lock face, and then. Because if you have your phone open but on Do Not Disturb, it will still ring and everything. So you have to.
I'm too scared to try that and have this whole episode not record.
Well, I mean,
oh well, it doesn't matter.
Can't be scared your whole life. So yeah, back to going to fire school in the evenings, and I was a firefighter explorer. With Claremont Fire in Florida, and I had half of what I had to become a firefighter, and the other half you had to go to the academy for, and I just wasn't 18. There's nothing they would waive. So like during that time period that I was waiting to be come 18, I was still at the fire department being basically a kid volunteer. Certain restrictions on what I could do and this and that. Where we were going down the road with the sirens on, and it was just I looked out and was like not excited anymore. It was just like this is boring. And ever since that moment in time, I can still remember what I was looking at. Going by the Winn-Dixie underneath Highway 27, and it was like I'm kind of bored. And looking around me, this is all life has to offer as a, Claremont, Mineola resident as a firefighter, one of the most exciting jobs, in America. And so then I kind of turned my eye to the Marine Corps, and haven't looked back. And
So is it weird now though, because you're out and obviously there's not the same stakes or I don't want to say excitement, but you know what I mean? There's not the danger, maybe? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is with, being back here and, civilian life, married, kid on the way.
Yeah.
Is that a weird transition? Because, if even from before joining, you were this is what I'm after.
Right.
It's or maybe you just, you filled that up and you're all right, I got my fill of that. Don't need to do that anymore.
So that 4 or 5 years ago, if you would ask me the same question, I would have been I have no idea what I'm going to do after, to find that, fulfillment, or what I've, put in place of it is, your purpose or mission, objective, what's on the table right now, what needs to get done, what needs, what needs me? Because when you're in the Marine Corps, it's portrayed that the Marine Corps needs you at your very best, 24/7, like no questions asked, like family, wife's in labor, it doesn't matter. Like Marine Corps says go, you're gone.
Uh-huh.
But now and that's always a sense of like someone needing you, like you have a purpose. So now, like with a wonderful wife I have, like that is my soul, like purpose is like to be her protector, like be the person that provides for her, like looks out for 5, 10, 15, 50 years down the road of like where we're gonna be, and now we have like a little one on the way, like the fire team's growing, brother, like she's like the other day we were going through things and it was like this little baby tub that someone gave us, and she's like, what are we gonna do with this? Is like, we're gonna throw it back at the truck when we stay at a hotel, like we got a baby bath, and she's like, we're gonna bring this with us. I'm like, yeah, like we got gear and a fire team now, so it's just like switching from having 2 or 3 guys that you kind of have to look out for, that can look out for themselves, and like she can take care of herself, but it's like you're in that position now of like this is your team, this is what you have to focus on. And that's with that and like getting out, going to school, like trying to start a little business, to do all those things of providing, it's kind of shift the purpose.
Well, let's talk about that your business, because that's one of the things you and I click on. Is like you. It seems like you tried a couple different things after getting out, and then now you've kind of settled in on this like landscaping business, right? Yeah. So what was it about entrepreneurship? Because that's very different, right? Like military life there's, from my understanding, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like it's always somebody is telling you where to go and what to do. And in entrepreneurship, especially you running your own business, like you're in total control. Mm-hmm. There is no orders on high, no direction. It's you don't have a training manual for what you're doing.
Right.
So how is that? Like, what made you decide to get into like an entrepreneur business field as opposed to like some other aspect of a altruistic service profession?
So like. Just to take a step back, like being, an EOD tech, we're given just like, we're able to be like free thinkers and kind of do, what we want to a certain point, because we're never going to be on a problem or on an IED or whatever it may be, with a bunch of heads around us, like so when we're in that
that makes sense,
situation,
right?
It's free thought, it's free thinking, it's what can you do to solve this problem? So like that, I feel like that helped a lot. Like being in the situation I am now of like I can be a one-man team and accomplish the task. In the worst case scenario, one-man team, 2-3 guys is ideal. And I feel like in any situation, whether it's running IED call in Iraq, Afghanistan, or it's taking a yard and landscaping the hell out of it, like owning that yard in the landscape. So I have tried a few different avenues of professions after getting out. Like we'll go through. One of the biggest reasons, like I'll pause on that. Like biggest reason like I wanted to start making money for myself and being an entrepreneur is my buddy Diego and I were at the beach and surfing, surfboards, wetsuit, Coronado, summertime, and this family walks up to us asking us where they could go get surf lessons and boards and wetsuits and all this stuff. And I'm like, no idea. We know how to surf, so we've never gotten that, and we weren't really doing anything. And then we asked them, like, you guys on vacation, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, we want to surf. We've never been to California from Jersey, blah, blah, blah. So we told them, like, well, we can show you how to surf. And we have a bunch of different, like, wetsuits and boards and whatnot. So we, scheduled time, went out there, and after the day, got everyone standing up on some, pretty basic waves. And shake the guy's hand, didn't charge him anything. Handed us $300, for, like, 4 or 5 hours. And Diego and I were like, oh shit, man, let's go get some lobsters. But at that point, it's like clicks. Like you can make money literally doing anything as long as you provide, some some
value,
type of surface,
right? Yeah.
value, and like make that person, feel like they got something with the value. You can like just work, and it will come, so that was like the light bulb with the entrepreneur, making money my own, not having to listen to someone. But your boss in that aspect is your clients. You know that just as well as I do. Like, you might not have someone saying, "Hey, you got to be up at 6, to get the truck going and attach the trailer and all this other stuff." But you got clients that know you're going to be there. Going into it, like we did the surf thing for a while, and then personal.
Oh, you kept it up after that?
Oh yeah, Craigslist is flooded. Craigslist with show you how to surf, this and that, and then the surfing clients started asking us "Oh, how do you guys have personal trainers? Or do you train this and that?" And so we're like, I've trained hundreds of Marines, so we can figure this out. And we started half-assed training people, and then we're like, you know what, maybe. And so, yeah, Diego and I got out right at the same time, became best friends. So we were living together right after we got out down in Chula Vista. So a little backstory on Diego, Marine as well. So after the surfing, not after, still while surfing and giving lessons, started doing the personal training school, and started combining both of those, and I was like, wow, we can make something happen. And after probably a year and a half, in the personal training network circuit, if you will, shady people, dude. Everyone is out for themselves. There's no hey, I got a client I can't get to, I'm going to refer you, you'll scratch my back, scratch yours. It's hey, I'll scratch your back, and then you're going to fuck me in the back. It's not cool, in my experience. One of the gym that I learned the most, I love the guy, Bobby Galton, One Iron Performance down in San Diego. Give me a little shout out, dude. That is where, I had we had the perfect little mesh going, and it was I don't know, just became such good friendship that it kind of left the gym so we could keep the friendship, and just so there wasn't any business in between him and I, just because I value a friendship much more than a business of anything. Yeah, you can grow a business and you can close a business. I'd rather keep growing a friendship, Yeah, so there's my tangent. I don't know where we're at the moment.
It doesn't matter. That's the beauty of this thing, man. Especially for me, because I have a touch of the ADD, so it can go wherever it goes. I love that. So, all right, how did they? I want to bring it around, because I know that I'm never going to talk to somebody else who did explosive ordnance disposal.
You have though.
That's true.
You've talked to so many you don't even know.
All right, I've talked to a few.
Yeah.
But all around you.
Right.
So, how did you get picked to do that in the first place? Is there a temperament, or they're just or did you just to piss somebody off, and they're yeah, okay, this guy goes and deals with the explosives. How does that work?
So it's not a selection process. They don't necessarily go out and pick you. You have to apply, and Marine Corps is a little different than all the other branches in this aspect of, as a Marine, you cannot come in as a civilian. You cannot come in, become a Marine, and then become an explosive ordnance disposal technician. It just doesn't work that way. All the other services, you can come straight out of high school, go through the training, go through the pipeline, and become an EOD tech. Marine Corps asks, at the time, these are the standards that I know. I don't know what it is at the moment. 2006 is when I put my package in, and at the time, it had to be corporal, E4 or above, 21 age or 21 and over. And you had to put in your request to be to go through the doctrine of
the training.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's the physical aspect and a mental aspect, interview, before they'll even send your package up by like a 2-man. Well, this was in Iraq, so went to a 2-man team that was on our base. Rode with them a few times, got to figure out what EOD was, and then after finding out, you get to blow shit up. Like there's a.
That's what made you want to do it, was
that
to blow shit up.
There's so many different things, like being able to blow something up, like it's just. I mean, words cannot, describe how that feels. Like when you can feel that percussion and destroy something. On the same note, you understand like the extreme power and the respect that those elements have to have and be given, or they'll completely destroy whatever is in their path. But yeah, I mean that is one of the biggest reasons. I feel any EOD tech, bomb squad, whatever wants to do it is blow some things up, man. Like who doesn't want? I mean, if you had a buddy that called you right now and said, "Hey, man, we're going to go blow up like 6 cars out in the desert."
Yeah, I would be there.
Sweetheart, I'm sorry. Birthday, I'm out.
I would be there for sure. That's a good way of putting it, actually. I hope you don't listen to this, wife.
If you do, you do.
But you're right. You're right. But still, because most of them were improvised, right? Like what you had to actually deal with in the field is improvised. So how do you prep for that? Since every single time it's different, right? They made it up on the fly with whatever they had. That's got to be kind of a weird training or just actual situation of well, I know the end result, but I don't know how they set this thing up.
So I'll try to.
And from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, there's actually more injuries and fatalities and all that stuff overseas from explosive devices than from gunfire or firefights or what you usually see in the movies.
Absolutely. That is a correct statement. But with your question, maybe I would put it to you so you would be able to understand as a nurse RN, how the body functions and what needs to be done, in order for things to operate or not operate. So when you can have 1,000 different type of emergencies, trauma emergencies happen, 100 different ways, but you still know the end result, what makes things tick and what makes things go. So you know how to attack the problem, right? So the same thing with IEDs, improvised explosives. They're explosive devices.
The same things need to happen.
Yeah, you.
Oh, here they come.
All
right, I'm gonna pause this episode temporarily. We'll finish this in just a second. All right, and we're back.
Back again.
It's my wife's birthday, so they just came back with stuff from the store before the party, which starts in about an hour. So, yeah, where the hell were we? EOD. How that?
Oh yeah, how every walking up to every item is a little different, but all the same.
Okay.
It's a
gotcha.
It's a problem 9 times out of 10. What I experienced was a circuit. So if you can find the circuit, you can attack the circuit. I mean, everything you have to treat everything as it's booby trapped. So just putting your mind frame into the bomber's builder / placer, just how could you configure something that would detonate on the person that's trying to render it safe. And so every time coming to it, that's going through your head, and just it's a problem, being able to be a problem solver.
All right.
It is still happening, but that's part of life.
Okay.
Everyone's rolling with it.
All right, so continue.
Problem solving. That's what I was talking about, the free thinking, being able to sit there and not have to depend on anyone else except for the problem at hand in front of you, whether it's an IED, or you don't know how to pay, you're going to pay your mortgage, where the next dollar is going to come from, or if you're a nurse or
Yeah, it feels like
whatever.
one of those has a lot more consequences than the other ones, though.
Yeah, it's all perspective. It's all relative.
So does it make it easier for you to do like your job now because the stakes are less high, or is it actually harder because they're less high? Or less immediate
It makes it
consequences?
mundane.
Yeah.
It's walking through the motions. Not really much of a challenge. Like the challenging part is like growing a business. Because you can work your ass off 7 days a week and make a living for a family, but you're working your ass off. Being an entrepreneur is more than just like busting your ass. It's busting your ass for a certain point until you can get to that next level, and sustain the next level, and then the next level, and having people not under you, because everyone's part of the team, but doing the job you were doing a year or 2 years ago, and just continuously building upon that.
Yeah. How's that going so far?
Pretty good. Me working my ass off. the old employee thing is a little harder to come by, but that's the constant bitch or complaint or issue any company has is the labor market. Well, I mean, you want to get paid $15 an hour, for jack and shit. You're not worth what you think you are. And I feel like until you get out into the world, like you're not going to know your worth. And like you have to go through some life tests before you're worth anything.
Yeah, or at least have a bunch of skills.
Yeah.
So what do you think then about this whole? I think we passed it, right? The whole increasing minimum wage to $15 an hour.
I'm pretty sure we passed it by like 2021. Supposed to be $15 an hour. Going up there. I mean, that's what's that? 4 years from now?
Yeah.
3.5 years from now.
I didn't realize it was that far away.
I think it's like some states are, have jacked it up already, but I don't think it's jacked up to 15. I think it's 13-ish, but by comparison, it's 15 to us in California, because everything's so much more expensive than anywhere else.
Yeah.
It seems like. I think. So here's my situation is I feel the people that are like voting yes to pay people $15 an hour, a lot of them are the same people that are complaining and trying to undercut you when you come out to do a bid on their house for a luxury item of like an extravagant landscape. Like that's a luxury item, and like it takes labor, and it's hard to always come down on prices if you're constantly forking out. Like because you pay, like if a legit business pays someone $15 an hour, it costs that business nearly $20 an hour for that one employee.
Yeah.
And you're talking coming into the workforce, with no experience in anything. You want to flip burgers or take an order or any entry level job and make that much money, and you have no skills. Like it's kind of asinine.
Mm-hmm.
That's my perspective. It's ridiculous to think you're worth that much. You're not. Like no one coming straight out of high school. I won't say no one, because there are a lot of all stars, but like barely anyone coming out of high school is worth $15 an hour when you first sign on to an entry level
Yeah,
job.
I got paid a bunch of minimum wage jobs when I came out of school, and I was a terrible worker.
Yeah.
I got fired from a ton of them.
Yeah.
And that was making minimum wage, but it was about half of what minimum wage is about to be. Maybe even less. I think I may have started at like $6.75 an hour was minimum wage.
I was gonna say mine in Florida was mid sixes, high six, something like that. And like you reap what you like sow. Like it's bust your ass, you'll go up in the chains. I was listening to, I don't know what podcast it was. It was a business podcast a couple weeks ago or a week ago or so, and there are employees coming on saying like they don't understand why business owners don't just give them more money for working. Like business owners make so much money. It's like that's the perceived, you know, image of business owners is they make all this money and have all this, you know, cash, and it's like huge ballers. But it's also the business owner that is like, their house could be on the line, like their kids, future college, and all that good stuff is like riding on the business. And it's just like, oh, give me more money. Like, why do you get more money? Like, you're not doing anything. You're not risking your neck. You have no skin in the game.
I think the company I work for now, I think that the earnings are like about $100 million a year, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And from all of that, I think I had this conversation with the company owner a while ago. I think what they actually make in profit is 10%. And that's not like it goes just to the owner. It gets split amongst all of the people who have a stake in it, but it's 10%. So it's way less. I mean, you compare that to the top sales guy in my company is taking home like $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5% of what the whole company is reaping as a profit overall.
5%
Not 5%. I'm
year?
sorry, 20%. It's 1/5.
Gotcha.
1/5 of what the overall profit. If they're making $10 million and he makes $2 million in just sales,
mm-hmm.
like the company profit comes after that, right? So it's pretty mind blowing to realize.
That's one guy's salary, taking that much of the entire company's profit.
Yeah.
Or the percentage of.
Yeah, but he also earns that too, though.
Well, I'm taking is. That's what,
No, I got you. I get what you're saying. But it's interesting, man, either way. All right, so we've officially hit the 46, almost 47 minute mark with a few interruptions. This is the point where I like to segue into kind of who your first contacts are, who the most interesting people are in your phone, and maybe a little blurb or two about why, and I'll reach out to them later. And I think most of yours aren't going to be local to me, so I'm going to have to figure out how to Skype or pull this off in a new way that I haven't done before. But let's start with the first one. Who's your first contact?
So I put them down in their in time that I've known them. Chris Tomlin. I've known that guy since EOD school, 2006, 2007. Then EOD school, we went, same company. In that company, we deployed together and lived on ship, and slept across from each other. So we know each other like decently well. What is that? 2000, like 10 years, 10 plus years. He's.
Why is he
super
most interesting?
That's why he's the most interesting,
because you've known him for so long. That doesn't work because I've known my mother for
so
a really long time.
What I was going to say is like that is what's so interesting about him. Like you can't put your finger on it. I knew him. He had like no tattoos, and now he's freaking covered. And like he does amazing artwork. Like all these guys that I have, do some sort of artwork. And maybe that's why it's so interesting to me, because I am not an artist in the ways that they can take paint and or any kind of canvas or material and just make like this spectacular art piece. And I can't do that with paint and canvas, but dude's got amazing life experience. Some stories that will blow your mind.
Okay, cool.
Interesting guy.
All right, Chris, let's go to the next one.
Mr. Mark Zambon, him and I, known him since 2007 as well. Chris Tomlin is also a bomb tech. Mark is bomb tech.
Mark I kind of figured he would be on your list of most interesting people, just because meeting him a few times, what he has had to say has been like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You're doing what?
He, I don't want to say you name it, he's done it, but he's always out there doing it. Whether it's, a reality TV show on a life raft down in the Bahamas.
Really?
Yeah. Or, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, I want to say it was like less than 18 months after he was blown up in Afghanistan. Like lost both his legs and like made an amazing feat after that, and like such a quick turnaround. And Mount Kilimanjaro, like he's been working for a congresswoman past like 2 years, and like the insight of how things like operate and go down. It's super interesting. This guy's like he took me to one of my first concerts, and then is like thrown me in the music scene for a bit, and then I pulled back because it's really not my scene. But he's all about it.
Exposed you to it.
Constant road tripping. Like that guy is like, I don't know, once a month asking me if I want to go on some extravagant road trip. Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, that's awesome. I figured he would be on your list.
Absolutely. It continues to amaze me. And then
the third one.
Diego, like he's an interesting guy. He same artist, like abstract, like out of this world, like things you like.
It's not. Is it like just like a bunch of random lines on a canvas or something?
No, it's like I don't know, like a mix of futuristic cartoons with like I don't know, Leonard Skinner playing in the background. It's
okay.
That's how I see some of his art.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, like we've gone through a lot, like went through some loony bin operations back in 2012. That's where we actually met. Like he was with a infantry company or battalion, and then we met up doing some of our head shrink stuff. When you say like interesting, like his perspective I think is what's like interesting to me. How he sees things and like brings a different light to my eyes.
Okay.
As gay as that sounded.
All right. Well, let's end on that. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll
thanks for
get
having me,
started with my wife's birthday party in just a minute. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.